Welcome everyone to otakusandgeeks.com Superhero Gaming. This is episode 10. My friends, just a quick announcement. We have two episodes left of Superhero Gaming before we go on break and come back in the summertime for more superhero gaming while we will return to Annie Gaming until the summertime. So be on the lookout for the return of Annie Gaming. The returning episode will be Dragon Ball Revenge of King Piccolo for the Wii. So I'm very excited to get back into Annie Gaming, but we're not done just yet. We are going to be talking about Spider Man, the arcade game today, back in the Marvel Universe. And this was released in 1991 by SEGA. And it stands out as one of the most unique Spider Man titles of its era. Developed during the golden age of arcade beat 'em ups, this game capitalized on the popularity of Marvel's wall crawler and his allies. It blended traditional side scrolling action with platforming mechanics, and its bold graphics and multiplayer appeal made it a memorable entry in arcade gaming. So, we're going to talk about the story, gameplay, graphics, and sound. Now let's talk a little bit about the story. The narrative of Spider-Man the arcade game is straightforward, aligning with the arcade's genre's focus on gameplay over intricate storytelling. Players take on the roles of Spider-Man and his allies, Black Cat, Hawkeye, Namor, as they face off against a rogue gallery of villains. And the plot revolves around Doctor Doom's latest schemes, which include a supporting cast of iconic Spider-Man villains such as Green Goblin, Sandman, Venom, just to name a few. While the story is very minimum, its purpose is clear to provide a framework for nonstop action. The inclusion of Doctor Doom as the ultimate antagonist really broadens the horizon scope beyond Spider-Man typical street level adventures, adding a layer of that Marvel universe connectivity that you all expect from a Marvel game. So let's talk a little bit about the gameplay. At its core, the Spider-Man the arcade game is a side-scroller beat 'em up, a genre that was highly popular in the early 90s. Shout out to my 90s, yes, those 80s, mid 80s babies like me, Team 86. Anyway, players progress through various levels, defeating waves of enemies, facing off against bosses. The game features, however, a unique mechanic that distinguishes it from other beat 'em ups of its time, a mix of traditional brawling and platforming. You each character has their own unique abilities and attacks. Spider-Man uses web-based moves, Black Cat employs her agility, Hawkeye relies on his bow, and Namor utilizes, let's just say, aquatic theme attacks. The combat system is fluid, offering satisfying combos and special attacks. In the platforming segments, some levels shift into a zoomed out perspective, transforming the game into a platformer. These sections really break up the pacing, adding variety to the gameplay. And of course, there's multiplayer. The game supports up to 4 players, encouraging cooperative play. Each unique abilities make team dynamics more engaging, while players coordinating attacks and strategies. And yes, you do have boss fights in this game. What is an arcade beat 'em up without its boss fights? And boss fights are highlights featuring Spider-Man's most iconic villains, as I said. Venom, for instance, appears multiple times, emphasizing his prominence in Spider Man's rogue gallery. The fights are challenging, requiring players to learn patterns and utilize their character strengths effectively. The graphics, however, of Spider Man the arcade game are vibrant and expressive, showcasing Sega's mastery of arcade hardware. Sega, folks, was a complete juggernaut in the arcade space back in the days. While Nintendo was really ruling the home consoles, they didn't have the arcade game on lock. That at the time belonged to Sega. And for those who were in the arcade space at the time, they know how dominant Sega arcade machines were. Character sprites are large, detailed, and colorful. Staying true to the comic book counterparts, the animation was smooth with dynamic effects such as explosions and web attacks, adding to that visual flair. Backgrounds are richly detailed, capturing iconic Marvel locations from urban rooftops to underground layers. Each environment feels alive and contributes to the game's comic book aesthetic. And finally, let's talk about the sound. The game's sound audio complements its energetic gameplay. The sound features fast paced, heroic tunes that match the action, while sound effects emphasize the impact of attacks and environmental interactions. Voice samples, though limited by the hardware, add personality to the characters, with quips from Spider Man which enhance that comic book vibe. So, Spider Man, the arcade game, holds a special place in my heart. It's one of the first titles to really incorporate multiple Marvel heroes, paving the way for future ensemble games like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. It blends beat 'em up action, platform mechanics, set it apart from its peers. And yes, folks, I know we also had Captain America and the Avengers, but I personally prefer this one over that particular game. Don't get me wrong, Captain America and the Avengers, we will get to down the line. But Spider Man the arcade game is a product of its time, blending the best elements of the early 90s arcade design with charm of Marvel's characters. Its vibrant visuals, satisfying gameplay, and cooperative multiplayer made it a standout in the arcades. I will highly recommend this if you ever are at a barcade, a Dave and Buster's, or wherever you live that still has arcade machines. If this one's available, I highly recommend you check it out. This is Justin from otakusandgeeks.com. What did you think of Spider-Man the arcade game? Did you ever play it? How much quarters did you lose? Comment below, let me know. If you like what we do here, hopefully we earned your subscription. And if we did, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell. Helps out the channel and the algorithm tremendously. Peace and love to all you, my friends. Later days.